Hello, this is Greg Coleridge, Director of the Northeast Ohio American Friends Service Committee. The public is upset, and rightly so, about the $700 billion bank bailout that we as taxpayers had to give to Wall Street following the financial implosion in the fall of 2008. Following that, Congress has been coming up with ideas to reform so-called the banking industry. This has led both houses of Congress to come up with their own reform bills, first in the House in December of this past year, and most recently in the Senate. Right now, the House and the Senate are trying to bring together their different versions to come up with a final bill that they hope President Obama will sign. Both versions, the House and Senate version, are fatally, we believe, flawed. They don't contain some important provisions that our office and our program feels is critically important to be included. If not in this bill, then certainly in the near future. Here are some provisions that we think should be included in the current bill to make it truly a reform measure. To cap pay and benefits of bank CEOs. These CEOs are receiving millions of dollars in perks and pay. Why should they be rewarded for causing this financial debacle? Break up the banks. If banks are too big to fail, then they should be too big to exist. Break them up to small community size so that they can't be involved in large speculative endeavors. Return banks to being boring, meaning singularly focused on providing loans to individuals and businesses, period, not in speculative wild investments. Conduct a full audit of the Federal Reserve. This has never happened. The Federal Reserve was responsible for doling out this $700 billion to the financial industry. We as taxpayers still don't know where all of those dollars went. Create a modern equivalent of the Glass-Steagall Act. Glass-Steagall was a Depression-era law created to prevent banks, commercial and investment banks, from taking down each other. It created a firewall between these different kinds of financial types of industries that should be resurrected. We need to reduce or eliminate the Federal Reserve's financial regulatory powers. Right now, the Federal Reserve, which is a quasi-private entity, has been given the power and the authority to regulate banks and financial institutions. This is akin to having the fox guarding the henhouse. The Federal Reserve should not be involved at all in regulation. Prohibit financial institutions that receive public funding, taxpayer dollars, bailout dollars, from being involved in either lobbying or from giving money in form of campaign contributions. If banks or insurance companies or other financial entities want public funds, fine, so long as they meet certain conditions, and one of those conditions should be no use of public dollars for lobbying or campaign contributions. Prohibit banks from creating money out of thin air. Right now, about 95% of all money created in our society comes from banks through loans. Money is created as debt, literally out of thin air. This gives them enormous political power, as well as obviously economic power, to rule, to pervert our economy as well as our body politic. We need to move the Federal Reserve under the authority of the Treasury Department and be involved in other kinds of more democratization of our financial industry. Right now, banks have way too much political power and way too much economic power. That's largely due in part to the amount of money they give in campaign contributions or investments to our public officials. That needs to change, and our pressure on our elected representatives needs to happen. For more information, check out, we have our full list of ideas, 4 suggestions. You can just Google, go to Create Real Democracy for more information.